the public as police officers and a brother who was a firefighter. He leaves behind a partner, Officer Britt Sweeney, who was also wounded that night. He leaves behind a police department in mourning, and he leaves behind a community in shock because of this brutal and senseless crime. But more than that, he leaves behind a legacy of selflessness, of caring, and of committed to service. We all owe a great debt to Officer Brenton and to the many public servants who placed their lives on the line to protect us. The Seattle News-Times reported that a neighbor called the Brentons just a regular American family going to work, making a living. But the Brentons are no regular family. They have been doubly marked by valor and by sacrifice. The perpetrators of this tragic crime have marked for all of us as we mourn the effects of this violence on the family and friends of Officer Brenton. I ask you all to join me in bowing your heads in remembrance of Officer Brenton. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. For what purpose does the gentlelady from Florida rise? Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I rise tonight to honor a courageous South Floridian who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. UN guard Lewis Maxwell died fighting Taliban attackers at a hotel in Afghanistan last week. Lewis and another UN security guard held off the terrorists and in the process saved innocent lives. Lewis graduated from Miami Central High School in the year 2000. He was such an outstanding trumpet player that he was offered a full music scholarship to Florida A&M University. Yet he decided to serve his country and enlisted in the United States Navy. Lewis later became a UN guard in the year 2007. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon praised Lewis's bravery by saying the following, and I quote, "They fought through the corridors of the building and from the rooftop. They held off the attackers long enough for their colleagues to escape, armed only with pistols against the silence, carrying assault weapons, automatic assault weapons and grenades, and wearing suicide vests," end quote. I hope Lewis's mother, Sandra, takes comfort in knowing that 17 people are alive today because of her son. I join her and the rest of his family in thanking Lewis for his service, honoring his memory, and making sure that Lewis will never be forgotten. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The gentlelady yields back. Are there further 1-minute requests? For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas rise? Without objection.
Madam Speaker, according to a Harvard School of Public Health study, 40% of medical malpractice suits in the U.S. are, quote, without merit. These frivolous lawsuits enrich trial lawyers while increasing the cost of health care for everyone. Despite the fact that tort reform would help reduce health care costs, the administration refuses to propose this common sense solution. Why is that? According to former Democratic National Committee Chairman Howard Dean, quote, "Tort reform is not in the health care bill because the people who wrote it don't want to take on the trial lawyers," end quote. In the handful of states that have enacted tort reform, health care costs have fallen and the availability of medical care has expanded. Tort reform and reducing the number of frivolous lawsuits against hospitals and doctors would help all Americans.
The gentleman yields back. Are there additional 1-minute speeches? For what purpose does the gentleman from South Carolina rise? Without objection.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, there are many things wrong with the Pelosi health care bill. Some of them rise to moral issues, and certainly the moral issue that I'm focused on right now is the abortion issue. And there are a lot of people that want to say, well, there won't be public funds used for abortion, but really, please, when we debate this bill, let's not insult the intelligence of other members of Congress or the American people. There's a clear commingling of resources. If you set up a public option and then